whoever is present, whoever wanted to be present or wants to be involved in decision making. So this is very broad, very, very open. So the idea is some sort of like simple safeguard, like Alberto was saying, like basically have two stakeholders, new and existing members. So you could have new members are, I don't know, first 5 sessions or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, last time I'm looking at the
And
notes
then
from last
existing.
time. We were leaning towards something like this, right? And then 3 main session or put in 10 hours of work or something like this. But I mean, main session. I mean, main session. There's no main session. Right? We can say three, like ACU, like today, like this is ACU. The focus is very clear from the beginning. It's all about ACU. So maybe you attend at least, I would say seven of these sessions. It's enough.
Mm. I didn't get exactly what you meant.
So what this would do it would create a differentiation between, basically, new people versus existing people. Does that make sense? That so basically anyone who's only done 7 or less sessions would be the new stakeholders, and anyone who's done more than 7 sessions would be,
The old
existing
stakeholders.
stakeholders.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could
Nice.
say new and old, but you could say uh, new and you could say new and old. You could say existing and trainees, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Whatever, it doesn't matter what it's called. I would say new members and existing members. I think it's fine.
Please stop and get ready. Now inhale. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Pause. Inhale together. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. Relax.
I mean, I would say I don't know about the new, but I mean, I would say that uh, whoever was in the setup, in the two setup sessions, and plus one ECU session is a member, right? So we had
No,
one.
everybody's a member. Everyone's a member. We're just creating two stakeholders. So I don't want to create some big, huge, complicated thing from the beginning. Like everyone's an equal member, right? There's just new members and existing members, and this is just what we call a safeguard, which is only activated if problems occur, right? This is only activated if problems occur to address issues and
Okay.
problems, right? So it's basically a bunch of new people come in and they want to cause a bunch of havoc, and there's disagreement and there's a bunch of problems, right? It would give the existing members 7 sessions to really understand the situation before having to actually deal with the new voting. So you can't come into
We
one
can
session
see.
and overtake it. It would take 7 sessions. And if there's one session per month or one session per week, it would be at least 7 weeks, or be at least 2 months, or be at least 7 months. So basically it gives you some time to address issues and problems with new people getting involved. Does
Yeah,
that make sense?
perfect. Yeah, including the setup sessions, 7 sessions, including this.
Whatever, it doesn't matter when we set up the sessions or how you define the sessions. The point is that we're all new members and we all have equal power as existing members. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, let's say that now we vote on the on the proposal, on the sponsorship proposal, and there is some headache from let's say, I don't know, anyone, right? So how would we solve? We would go into this criteria, right?
I'm not expecting any headache from SVG internal
Anybody.
managers. Like, I don't think we're going to be doing anything. I'm thinking this is more like long term, right? But
I just
basically,
want to understand how it works. How would it work in the scenario that there is a problem?
well, my hypothetical would be like in a year from now.
Time to
Right?
vote. Please stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, make an example.
Count.
Okay,
1,
so the hypothetical example would be this.
4, 5. Open your eyes.
Okay, hypothetical example. So basically, let's say we go 6 months in the future, 6 months in future, we have an amazing, successful first event, right? With, I don't know, dozens or even hundreds of people, right? Then we have a session, to oversee our, let's say we still have $5,000 budget, right? And then basically like, 20 new people get involved, and we still have us, let's say there's 5, existing members, and the 20 new people, vote to pay themselves, $200 each. Right? So this would block that. Does that make sense? Like, you can't just come in as brand new people, you've only gone on 1 or 2 sessions in the event, and then start changing the budget, making budgetary decisions, and taking all the money.
So their vote wouldn't count.
Well, their vote would obviously count. It just would be the stakeholders could block it, right? So under the stakeholder activation, you would require agreement from both stakeholders. So under
It would require agreement from.
stakeholder activation requires
Sponsors.
agreement from both stakeholders. So you have 2 stakeholders. You have new members and existing members. So the new members couldn't override the existing members, and so therefore the existing members could prevent the budget from being enacted poorly.
Okay, perfect.
Right? If we want to give the existing members the power to make decisions regardless of the new members, that would be a different proposal. So for example, you could say, you could set up a process, right? If problems occur and cannot be worked out, then existing members can split off from new members, right? You could say that.
No, I don't like the way that you presented it before. It's great. Yeah. So basically, what you're saying is that if problem occurs, we would have a vote between the existing and the new members, and both averages should be
Time to
agreed, passive.
Please
Yeah,
stop.
amazing.
Stand up and stretch and move around for 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's what stakeholders are.
Yeah. I like it. Amazing. Let's put it in the.
So I think that the thing to understand here, based on the model, is that it's an open organization. It's an open model, and based on this model, if you exclude line 18, so if we just cut that out, this organization can be easily taken over by anyone in the world. They simply come with more people, more votes, and they can basically block everything. Only if they're willing to come to session after session after session after session after session, they can block and basically bring the organization to a halt, and then eventually take over and take all the money or do whatever they want, right? So, but it would take a while. Instead of being able to do it instantaneously on a single session in 10 minutes, it would take months and months, at least 2 months, if not 6 months to 10 months or whatever. So it would be a lot of effort to take over the organization.
Yeah, I mean, but in general, this is the way we build things, right? We make them on purpose,
Yeah.
corruptible, so that we want people to show up, to empower them, and if they want to take over, they should be able to try. Absolutely.
Yeah, give them if they want to take it up, they could do a better job. Go for it,
Maybe
right?
they do a better job. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, but if you put in line 18 would allow the existing members to basically kind of protect the budget or protect certain things and sort of spin it off and like keep it in alignment. But the reason why this isn't that important is as long as you're willing to give up the money, and as long as you're willing to give up basically in this case, you still own the brand, right? Because Ambor itself as a brand is not owned by ACU. So in that context, you can just fork as long as you're willing to give up the money and just do whatever you want separately anyways, right? So you don't really need to worry about line 18. But if you did want to protect and have one additional caveat, it's basically you can empower existing members to move forward without the new members on significant situations where there is agreement to do that by all existing members, So that would be
I think we want to do in the long term, not now, but maybe we can put a note that yes, I mean everything they did, but I mean regarding specifically.
Time to pause. Please stop. Close your eyes. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
The cash, right? The cash we can include that there is some sort of layer of security where we have like somebody would be the treasurer, right? And the treasurer can activate some sort of arbitration, right? So I'm thinking about the following, right? This is something we don't want to decide, but we want to put that.
That just doesn't make any sense. The treasurer has no decision-making power, right?
No,
Yeah.
Or some figure. Yeah, what I'm saying is the following. Okay, so let's say this happens. A bunch of people see where the CEO is having success, making a lot of money, cash flow, and everything. Monetary value, cash flow. Okay, so what happens is that this group of people, they show up 7 sessions, they become stakeholders, and they rule over completely everything. Right? Still, it's okay. It's perfect. They rule over. It's something that we know and we accept, and we build the things in the structures to be this way. But then there should be some sort of protection in case there is a complete turnaround in cash distributions or monetary value distributions, right? So there should be some sort of policy or protocol that in case there is this situation where it's obvious that a group of people is like doing it, like we say, a hostile takeover, right? That's the usual term in the stock market or something like that. They're doing a hostile takeover. There should be some sort of process that is triggered where there is given this very net separation of decision making. There should be a process where the distribution of the monetary value is right. I don't know, like kind of an extraordinary distribution process for this kind of when in the event of a takeover.
Please stop and get ready. Now prepare. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Pause. Inhale together. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. Relax.
So can I just jump in here, Alberto?
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know what you're doing, but that's really confusing. There's like 5 different positions you're mentioning, and all these things happening external. It's like there's a session. The session happens. Someone's making a proposal that is outrageous. Anyone can be like, I activate the stakeholder, provision of our legal decision making models, and then now we would require stakeholder tallies to make sure the proposal would pass under the stakeholder activation. That's it. It's that there's nothing. It's so simple, right? There's nothing else to it, right? And so if you want to add something else where it empowers existing members with slightly more power than new members, that's fine. But I just don't see why you may have to make anything any more complicated than that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Okay, let's move forward.
Like all members are empowered equally. Period.
Yes, I
You
agree.
activate the stakeholder provisions, right? And
Yes.
the requirements have both stakeholder agreements,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
If even that doesn't work, we can add an additional line that says existing members have slightly more power, and through consensus can push things forward without agreement from new members, under extraordinary circumstances. We can add that if we want to, but it's not necessary because you can
I
always
agree.
but obviously if like let's say we have $100,000 or anything above like $25,000, even $10,000 is like meh, if you lost $10,000 it would still be really difficult, but not the end of the world, right? But if you have $100,000 or it becomes $1 million organization, obviously you're going to want to add in additional protections than just time of 7 weeks, right? So but you
Yeah,
can
we'll
do
see
that
when the time is. But yeah, I agree with you, Jay. Let's move
yeah,
forward.
but right now it's like not a big deal. So I think the update that I did is enough. So I'll just make it yellow until you read it, and then you can I'll un-yellow it, and I'll also put this into the notes on line 43. So just do you want me to just read it out loud?
I'm reading.
So under our membership section, membership is open to anyone who has the intention to be involved, whoever is present, whoever wants to be present or wants to be involved in decision making. And then it says there are two set stakeholder branches within the membership: new members and existing members. All members are new until they meet the requirement of attending and participating with 7 ACU sessions. If issues and problems occur between new and existing members, then under stakeholder activation, decisions would require agreement from both stakeholders.
Stop. Close your eyes. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
Okay.
Can we define better what is ACU session? Because I mean, we had topics on ACU; those are not considered ACU sessions.
Okay, well, we can just say it within ACU full sessions, which means that it's a not a topic, right? Not a topic.
Perfect. Thank you.
Right?
Yeah. Yes.
Right, cool.
Splendid.
Cool. So that just adds just a slight bit of resilience. So if new members come in and one section try to just change everything, there's at least a slight temporal delay in that process. So you want to, if you think about it, like let's say 7 sessions times 2 hours each, you're looking at a minimum of like 14 hours in order to take over the organization. That's a reasonable amount of time. No one's going to be putting in 14 hours between 10 people. It's like very rare that anyone would do that, especially over a few $1,000s, right? And if you have 10 people, that's 140 hours in order to take over the organization.
Perfect. So equity owner, we already covered that. Practitioner, we covered that. ACU decision-making policies, we covered that. Now, total incoming cash flow revenue for umbrella admin. 12% is the admission fee. Perfect. Here, I mean, additional services, extra cost. I mean, we see why as we go on. Let's just leave it simple. 5% administration fee. Then we have.
So my understanding is that this is just the admin fee. It goes to if we're
UNC, right? Yeah,
it goes through internet. So I don't know what this whole cooperativeship or all this stuff. It's just an admin fee. So I think we can just take that out.
Okay. Yeah. You can take it out.
Okay. So, and of course, we can always change.
Administration fee. We're talking about the income from the sales and everything, right? Not the monetary value that has been paid for SVG setting up everything. Or yes.
It's the percentage of total incoming cash flow, anything and everything that goes through the organization, right? We could potentially make an you know, like for example,
You
SVG
have a
funds
bank account yet.
10% of everything that goes through SVG. So you could argue that 10% of the entire $12,000 would be going to admin fees, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's true because SVG sponsors.
But
Yes,
but in context of ACU, you could argue that that $12,000 didn't actually go through an ACU account, so it wouldn't have registered. It went directly to SVG. Okay.
the way that I see it, ACU doesn't exist yet. This is what having
Exactly.
agreement on this is what is the date when ACU is being born.
But we could note here
from Hamburg. Yeah.
We could note here under legal considerations or historical background, you could just note that ACU does have a legal agreement, an existing legal agreement with SVG, and a $12,000 investment budget for client services. Right, so it's basically inheriting that.
I'm putting on quickly my hat as a core team. I'm putting in the priority work, start doing admin fees for SVG.
Well, we need to do admin fees for the entire sponsorship program. Like everyone needs to stop thinking about any one individual program and just get the work done. Like let's just do the work. Like why does everyone just like, I hate that everyone's just like the whole idea of one thing at a time, one program at a time, one organization at a time is not like, oh, I'm just going to work on one organization and then forget about everything else and flush it down the toilet and pretend it doesn't exist. That is not the point of one thing at a time.
I agree.
So I don't know why people just don't do the work. Right? It's just like excuse after excuse of like, oh yeah, let's just do this one thing. It's like, no, just do the work. And that one thing will get done because you do all of the work, not because you do that one thing.
Yes.
Absolutely. Anyways, slight tangent there. You can
slight tangent, but I think we stayed within.
But the message was positive.
I think this is good. So anything else that we want to address here? Otherwise, I think it's good.
It's okay. I like the part.
Wait a second. Here, there is still the bounce in here. Other details like funding goals, transparency, privacy.
Where?
Here, 0.9. All business-related work sessions, decision-making, operational, and financial output fall under the full transparency policies for our
Okay, let's just go through this. All businesses related work sessions, decision-making, operational, and financial output fall under the full transparency policy accountability. Yeah, okay, well, that's fine. In general, I don't really like the in general all FQV policies apply. Like, I don't know what that means exactly, and I would prefer to take that out. Right?
Sure. Okay. You can take it out.
Because what I don't like is like FQV policies are very, very specific and there's a lot of nuances and situations that empower other people besides HCG. So in the context of ACG processes, it's full transparency and public accountability. That is the model that FQV follows. So I prefer to just say what it is that we want to follow rather than just say, oh yeah, we follow everything FQV, because we don't follow everything FQV. You know what I mean?
Core team policies.
There is no such thing as core team policies.
I mean, Jay, I don't know how to say it. I mean, that the everything is
put it under,
follows it mirrors the policy, like when you chain a currency to the dollar, the same thing. We want to chain the policies of ACU to FQN, FQB, right? That's what I would like to have.
But that's what I've been saying the whole time, is that we don't want to do that because the FQV policies are complete and they have a very specific meaning and they do a very, very specific thing and they empower very specific groups of people, right? So if you are just applying all of the FQV policies, then that now means that the core team controls ACG. ACU, right? It's not possible for ACU to follow the FQV policies without giving complete and entire control to FQV and the core team and the whole model of FQV. Like that's the policies are for a separate organization. It's saying like, oh, I really like McDonald's hamburgers, so therefore, I'm going to give the corporate powers and the entire corporate system of McDonald's full control of my organization. That doesn't make any sense. Just because you like something that McDonald's serves. You see what I'm saying? Like it just doesn't make any sense.
I see what you're saying, and I mean what I'm saying is
so we can put that under legal. If you want to, we can put that under legal.
For example,
considerations.
Let me make an example, right? So obviously they're chained unless otherwise agreed by ACU, which has members which have the power to see every policy, review every policy, say this policy doesn't apply and this policy apply. But what I'm saying is, for example, tomorrow, the next main session, we pass the real-time session policies. Passing those policies, even if there is not clear documentation agreement within ACU, those policies automatically apply, right? But we know that ACU can at any time say, with these policies, we don't want them, they don't apply to us.
That's my problem right there, right? Is that if ACU can backtrack on any policies and say that they don't want them, then are they actually following the policies? Not really, right? So it's like how do you add that provision, right?
Focused on the session.
Right? It's like, okay, we're going to follow all the policies except all the ones that we don't want to follow. Like, okay, that's not following a single policy. Do you see what I'm saying?
How would you make sure that this scenario is
I told you how. And you said you wanted to postpone it. I said, okay, if we want to hire SVG to fork and document, go through all of the policies and apply and help ACU build a complete fork of all of the FQV policies, we can do that, but that's going to be a lot of time and effort. And we talked about the value and everything of that. And so I would just put it under legal considerations that ACU wants to fork FQV policies and adhere to as many policies as possible, but would rather do that at a future time when the budget is correct, right?
Perfectly, thank you.
Right, so it's like we want to follow as many FQV policies as possible, but it creates a legal conundrum. Right? If we just adopt all FQV policies, then we are no longer ACU. It is not possible to adopt all FQV policies without being FQV based on the way that the policies are presented.
I understand. Yes, thank you. The way that we're moving forward is perfect.
Right? It's like saying like, name one organization, like let's say Greenpeace. Oh, I want to adopt all Greenpeace policies. The moment you do that, the Greenpeace board now controls your entire organization, your entire budget and everything because you adopted their policies and their policies state that their board and their president controls everything. So you just gave away your entire organization, period. All right?
Perfect. Thank you.
Like it's a legal issue. If you want to give away your entire organization for no reason, you can do that, but you can't just adopt some other organization's policies without any changes and then think that somehow means you're a separate organization because you're not. It's a legal issue. It's not like,
perfect.
So I'm happy to go through the FQV policies in detail and work them and build an entire model specifically for ACU. And we can also create a cookie cutter model that anybody can copy for their organization, right? And we would just pull out everything that is.
It would be amazing.
That basically would give over control to FQV and the core team and myself, right? Because I'm integrally involved in the whole founding systems, all that is all integrally involved in the model, right? So it's a separate model than what ACU is presenting.
So I have a complaint here to make.
Yes.
Yeah. So Jay just said some very important things, right? And we have two workers here, paid workers, and there's not a single note on what just Jay said, which was very, very strong information, very important information.
Time to pause. Please
So,
stop.
I don't know
Close
what to
your
say about
eyes.
that.
Count 1,
Well,
2, 3, 4.
We do have
Guys.
some dictation, so that is at least partly helpful, but I don't know. I don't know if anyone wants to do notes, but notes would be like to do policy track or whatever. But
Alberto put his name on notes.
Dictation is, we want to have a human being that writes down the key takeaways, and then we have the recording. Thanks God.
yeah, but I can add just a few details here in like line 58 that basically like when you adopt an entire organization's policies, legally it is impossible not to transfer all ownership and all identity and all power and all assets to the new the entity, right? So there's only one way to do it, is that you have to fork the policies, right? So for example, you fork the policies everywhere it says FQV or whatever, you delete that and write ACU. That would be a way to get started in that process, but it's like you can't just transfer over all of your powers to a separate organization. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yes, perfect. Okay.
Yes.
Let's move forward.
And again, FQV is not in the business of building policies for other organizations for free, right? It's never been our focus, it's never been our purpose, it's never been our goal. So we've never created a model that can just be cookie cutter. The closest thing that does exist is sociocracy, right? So if you want to implement sociocracy, you can do that with a single proposal and just say, okay, in general, ACU would follow sociocracy models of decision making and review. That's perfectly fine. You can do that and you can research it. It is literally developed as a cookie cutter model that anyone can apply to their organization at any time. Does that make sense?
Perfect. Yes. Thank you so much. Okay, I saw that you added that in the legal considerations. Perfect. Let's see what's next.
So in the future, if you want to research sociocracy, you want to consider, just like copying sociocracy, you can. Of course, FQV policies are an adaptation of sociocracy. Sociocracy is part of our foundational methodologies, but obviously we specifically fork and change our sociocracy model for the democratic trilogy and a couple of specific other major changes to it. But overall, we're a sociocracy-based model.
Time for breath. Please stop and get ready. Now inhale. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Pause. Inhale together. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. Relax.
Cool. All right. So I think we're on the same page there.
Yeah.
So are we ready to do the proposal for the sponsorship?
No.
Is there anything else that we want to change?
No, we want to finish number 9. For the privacy settings in regards to spiritual workshops and residential practices sessions per se.
We're still on number 9. Yeah.
It's always made by the council.
Yeah, so for the privacy settings in regards to spiritual workshops and day practices per se, the decision of the matter is always made to the council. The decision is always made to the practitioner, right? Practitioners. And it was presented with the session by okay. For the privacy settings in regards to spiritual workshops and energetic practice sessions, per se, the final decision matter is always made by the practitioners, right? That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, we created the practitioners.
For the workshop. In this manner will be presented with the session process policies doc.
So basically, let's take this away. You can write it much better. What I want to say is that yes, it's made by the practitioner, but the practitioner need to bring a simple document, right, where they are stating very clearly, specifically, why, how, and whatever. And other reasons for being private, which is going to be presented to the members, and the members can review it and maybe find a way to make it as public as possible, right? The practitioner maybe make decisions based on information, on limited information, so that there is a confrontation with the members, and then this document will be reviewed, right?
What is the document again?
about the privacy settings.
The privacy settings. Okay.
Yeah. Why something should not follow the full transparency policies for public, so that there is a confrontation, there is a discussion, and which the purpose is to try to make it in a way that that it follows the policies. We want
Sure, but I mean, under our practice and under the model for ACU, we could easily have a policy that's just like within the actual event and within the actual workshop, it's either private or everything is reviewed, depending on what can and cannot be private. But that's separate. Because right now, all we're talking about.
Close your eyes. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
All that we're talking about is just decision making of the actual organization. So, but what I'm trying to say is that the organization will set the policies for how the workshops are run, and the practice is done. So I think this is enough. Like, basically, the members can review the privacy settings as needed to protect, right? To protect workshop participants, right?
I believe this should be clear from the beginning, before the organization is built. It's very important.
Yeah, but what didn't you delete all of it? Like, what is it that you want to make clear? Do you want to just state it again?
It's simpler.
Notes.
It was too complicated. We can make it simple.
Okay, well, can you say it? Because I think you said it, but we didn't write it down, right?
Okay.
So say it.
Yes. So for the privacy settings in regards to the spiritual work organization practice sessions per se, right? So the way that the spiritual practice is, let's take the event as an example. The way that the event would be the private public framework of the event, right? Or the snippets, for example, these kind of things, right? That are regarding the specific practice. The decision is made by the practitioner, but they would, I think they would be very beneficial for the practitioners to be required to present a document about these privacy settings, if they want some sort of privacy settings, which the document should be reviewed in a discussion, like we do with the AMCAS discussion, something like the AMCAS discussion. We have an AMCAS discussion where the members would make like maybe a recommendation, right, to form a recommendation about the policies that are being amended for that specific purpose, and the practitioner could either go forward, right, against maybe the recommendation, but at the same time, so the practitioner have, on one side, they can still ignore the recommendation, which is not in line with what they are deciding, and forward, but at the same time, the members could also decide that the recommendation is not followed. You understand what I mean?
Okay, so I mean, all I'm hearing you say is that basically after the event, there'll be an evaluation process.
Time
right?
to stretch. Please stop, stand up, and stretch and move around for 30 seconds.
Before the event.
All right, well, let's do a 30-second stretch.
So, let me go into the notes and try to make it very clear here.
Well, can I finish what I was saying?
Yeah.
It's just that when people sign up for the event and buy a ticket, it should be explicitly clear what the policy is before you buy the ticket, period. Right? So whatever the policy is agreed upon will be the policy that's presented. If something needs to change, it can change. But all that is a legal framework, and it all needs to be approved and decided. Like, we're not deciding that right now. Does that make sense? And we're certainly not deciding it right before the event after everybody has already bought their tickets.
I'm not talking about the specific settings, right? I'm talking about this. Let me make an example, right? So the
I mean,
practitioners.
but what I'm saying is that you're talking about very, very minute details.
No, it's very important. I'm talking about the broader framework. So let me make an example.
What does it have to do with the organizational decision making? But just keep going. I'm listening. We're listening. Go.
Line 99.
Yeah.
Let's say there is a practitioners of ACU practice P03. Practice P03 of ACU. The practitioners wanna bring the settings configuration for the private public policies are, as an example, total privacy, only invitation, private, I don't know, like hardcore private. And the practitioners are, I don't know, three people, three practitioners. And they decide they want to have this practice totally private, right? The other hand, we have the members of ACU, let's say that there are 7, right, including the 3 practitioners. The 4 members, they feel very uncomfortable with this, the setting configuration that are being.
Time to pause. Please stop. Close your eyes. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
They're very uncomfortable. They don't feel comfortable in linking their person, their consciousness with this practice, the way it's being framework, right? So they write a recommendation, official recommendation to the practitioners. Look, the recommendation is that if you want to move forward with this configuration settings, these ABC stakeholders, ABC member stakeholders are not in line with the principles, values, whatever is being implemented, right? So what happens is that, okay, the practitioners, and so we recommend that policies. We recommend that policies 3, 7, 9, and 12 are okay. We recommend a formal review that needs approval from the members as well.
So
for policies.
If you're going into massive amounts of detail here, can I respond?
I don't want to write. I'm creating an example. I don't want to write
an example
of what this session. I recommend from a review of these policies, and these policies are a deal breaker. With this, we would not in no way be okay in having this practice under ACU, right? So the practitioners in the case, they say, okay, we don't care about this recommendation, we move forward. So the members should be able to I mean, there should be, I don't know, maybe there already is, I don't understand it. So this is something that should be very clear.
That's what I would like to say, is that I think it already is that way, like in much more so even.
Okay, can you explain this?
So my understanding of what we set up is that practitioners only have the power to oversee the practice documentation final.
Time for breath. Please stop and get ready. Now inhale. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Pause. Inhale together. 1, 2, 3. Exhale, relax.
Practitioners only have the power to oversee the presentation of the final practice documentation, right? And then they can follow the practice laid out within the parameters of the documentation, right? This documentation is agreed upon by the membership.
Perfect.
Right? It's a dual agreement. The membership cannot make decisions over the practice without practitioners' oversight and approval as well. So, and the members obviously don't want to make decisions about the practice without approval from the practitioners, right? So let's verify that in the decision making. So we go to the decision making. Membership, equity, ownership, practitioners. Practitioners have authority over all practice decisions, including the evolution and presentation of the practice. Practitioners are approved, appointed, and certified by existing practitioners. Practitioners must follow the process that is approved and overseen by the organization.
Yeah, we should add something here.
So let me just make sure. Membership authority. Okay. Membership has authority except for the practice. Membership has authority over all decisions except for the practice. Membership approves the practice appointment process. Through practitioners implement the appointment process. Okay. So
let's add what you just
right,
said.
So yeah, you're right. So you're right that there is currently there needs to be an oversight mechanism of the practice, the implementation of the practice, right? For
What
legal.
you just said, the documentation, the practice laid out in the parameters of the documentation that is agreed upon by the membership and the practitioners together. Otherwise, everybody goes their own way. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's what I thought that it was originally. That basically like the practitioners have no say about the organization except they have authority over the actual presentation, evolution of the practice, right? But the presentation and evolution of the practice still needs membership approval, right?
Yeah, exactly. The documentation that we're presenting to the public for the invitation, right? What you just said, right? When we make the invitation for the ticket,
membership
that kind of documentation.
So basically the decisions, I'll just add this to the practitioners, right?
Close your eyes. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
So I'll say that decisions on practice documentations are to be presented and reviewed by the membership for up, down vote, right? So basically what that means is that the practitioners have full authority over the practice decision making, obviously with review and oversight from the administration and the membership, right? It's like, for me that is already implied, but we can make it explicit. Right? So when practitioners want to change or do anything in the practice, they have total control to do that as long as there's oversight and review of the membership.
And agreement.
Well, as an up-down vote. So the membership has no right to make a single change to the practice. Right? Only the practitioners can make changes. It's like ACU, let's take Innovate United LLC as the umbrella organization, has no right to go into ACU and start making changes to its documentation within the board of directors.
Yeah, about that. I'm talking that there should be very clear that there needs to be, I mean, this is implied here, but it should be very written clear that
the membership only has the membership only has the membership only has a right to block, not to make changes.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what
they block it. They change this, or they go somewhere else.
What?
They bring they block it. They don't agree with that. They block it. So the practitioners, they either change this documentation, this framework, this settings in a way that their agreement can be reached, or the practitioners go somewhere else. They don't sponsor, sell their practice or whatever. The development of the practice goes somewhere else. It wouldn't be under ACU or that
Well,
kind
sure,
of
but
presentation.
it's still the practice itself can still be intellectual property depending on how we, give out permissions. But the point is that like you could make it open source, whatever. But either way, the point is that
We're talking about the presentation of the practice.
it's the same thing. The presentation of the practice and the actual, following the practice are the same thing.
Write down whatever you were about to say and take a break for 6 minutes.
I think it's clear enough, right? I mean, we're saying for up-down vote, meaning that they could block it.
Yes, like if the practitioners want to do something that's outrageous and that all of the participants and people who are in the membership are against, they should not be allowed to do that, of course.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
that for me was this like already implied, right? But obviously we made it clear within that line. And I also changed the line up here within the membership that it says that the membership has authority over all decisions except the practice, which is overseen by the practitioners with membership oversight and review.
Perfect.
Right. So for me, that was just obvious, but it's better to make it clear. But I want to make sure there's one other thing. Okay. And then let's take a break. So it's simply that there is a huge difference of the practice and the practice documentation from post-practice. So if you're just talking about any sort of documentations, any sort of recordings, anything that is used after the practice, the only thing applicable would be live streaming to the actual live event. But everything else in terms of documentation and use afterwards is not part of the practice. It is part of the legal framework of the organization. Okay?
Absolutely.
So
yes.
I that's the only. So I think that your example actually is not applicable. But either way, I understand what you're saying. All right, unless it's live streaming. So let's take a 5-minute break, and when we come back, let's see if we can finalize the stuff with the practitioners and the membership relationship, and then we can finalize section 9, and then let's vote. All right.
Yes.
Cool.